Hello, everyone, and welcome back to a new season of the Sinead Says Podcast. A lot has changed and a lot is changing this season. I hope you can stick with me. I am testing new things because personally, I don't think I can continue this on. Like today, I'm recording a few podcasts and I've had to read a full book today in order to digest it and then talk about it in the book. But I'm not talking about any books today. I'm talking about my engagement story. But I thought to myself, I am a little bit overwhelmed with the whole becoming a mum and how am I going to keep up reading all these books and all this self-development and self-discovery. So I will be trying something new in the next few episodes. The first few episodes are just going to be kind of normal. We're going to be talking about how to just improve our lives, self-develop. We're going to dive right in. You know me, I like to get into the nitty-gritty of the psychology of how to make our lives better. And I have a few pods like that. And then we're going to get into something else. Will you like it? I don't know. We're just going to have to roll with it because if you're a mom, you might relate to the fact that I don't think you're going to be reading any book or, that first period of my life. So we're trying something different this season, but I will talk about that another time. The last time I spoke to you, the last episode was I'm pregnant and I was telling you all about I'm pregnant. And now I can't believe I'm doing an episode like I'm engaged. So obsessed with that for us. Before we get into the engagement story, I am just going to thank our sponsor, BetterHelp. So BetterHelp have been a sponsor from the very beginning of the podcast. They are an online therapy. And to be honest, without therapy, would I be engaged right now? Probably not, because I would probably still be having fear of commitment and pushing people away. So thank you to therapy. And it basically honors this podcast because therapy really helped me dive into my vulnerable side and dive into just letting myself love. So if you're someone who, is having the same patterns, you're getting the ick easily, you're turning away from love and vulnerability because you don't want to get hurt, therapy is such an amazing tool for that. And I cannot recommend it enough. BetterHelp is so affordable. It's so accessible on your app. You can literally just do it from the comfort of your own home. And it's very affordable. And you can get 10% off your first month. That is betterhelp.com/Sinead. Okay, so I'm engaged. I can't believe it, to be honest. Now that I've kind of sat back and reflected, I'm like, what the hell? It's crazy to me because me and Sam had our 2-year anniversary in May and we were engaged in July. And from what he said is that he went and got the ring in January, maybe before. I think it took 3 months to get made or something like that. So I think and I'm like, oh my God, we weren't even together. But you know what I mean? That's a man. A man is we live together. We are the right of age. This is what you want. This is what I want. I want to marry you. I want to be your husband. And he's like, I'm a man. I just going to get up and do it. What am I waiting for? And this is what I always say to the girls. I go, Sam deserves me. He deserves me because he does what it says on the tin. He thinks, how can I make this girl happy? How can I make our life better and fulfilled? And he's just a man who deserves that yes. And I love that for him. Because usually we go through life and we're like, there's a bit of knocking and banging, so hopefully you don't hear that. We go through life and we're just with men. And but I seen someone on TikTok the other day saying, name me one man that deserves the girl they're with. And he died. Because girls do settle a little bit because they just want to be loved. And I think an important part of finding your life partner and finding who is good for you and getting what you need and want and desire is essentially raising your standards. All right. Which we will talk about in a minute because I feel that's how you get what you want. You don't want to mess around with these boys, you want a man who deserves you. And he's just yeah, I know there's different circumstances, but anyway, we'll talk about that. But I actually wanted to firstly, you have written in loads of questions as well, but I actually wanted to first talk about the fact that I never wanted to get married. I don't know if I've ever talked about it on the podcast before, but throughout my whole life up until maybe the last 5 years, I've never said that I wanted to get married. I always was against it. And like obviously I've had therapy now and realized things, but we can talk about that. But like growing up, like how I seen marriage was not really what I wanted for myself. Like I love love, right? And I love intimacy, and I think I always loved like the beginning of relationships as well. Like, and I loved that like fiery love, and I always like wanted to keep that. And I also was such an avoidant attachment type. If you want to know more about that, there's more podcasts on that. There's one on fear of commitment. But basically, like, I didn't like getting close to people because that meant that they could hurt me. So I think even becoming someone's wife, that absolutely petrified me, to think that I can't get out of that. Because when I was younger, I would get close to people and then I would keep them at arm's length, and then I would use an excuse and run away. And I went through this cycle for a very long time in my life because I was such an avoidant attachment style. I was so scared of getting hurt. I would have rather have self-sabotaged that relationship than go so deep and so vulnerable. So I think as well, like how I see marriage is like my mom and dad love each other, but like they had a different relationship to what I felt like I desired. Not in like a, and it's weird now because I look back and think that's just like my mom and dad love each other so much. They just like Irish ways. They have different ways of showing love. But I liked communication, like loads of intimacy, touching, physical touch. And I felt like when I was growing up, I never really seen, like physical touch and like with your granny and grandpa or your aunties and uncles, like, yeah, like you don't see them say love you or like massive, like I never really seen that. Right. And like, it's weird now because now that I'm older, mum and dad are like they're quite like cute now. Like I felt like they probably didn't want to show like their physical intimacy, like them hugging and cuddling. But now that we're a bit older and we're a bit more open, like I do see it more. But when we were younger, I don't really remember seeing too much. But like for me, I just knew that was something I never wanted. I always wanted to be like really engaged and obsessed with my partner, and like I didn't want to be on two different sofas like watching TV. And I wanted like a real close connection. And when I look at that, it's like it's a fear of loss of intimacy as well. Like I just didn't associate marriage with what I wanted in a relationship. So I always seen it as like this like locked in lack of love. I don't know, like, and maybe I don't know. But obviously growing up and learning about relationships and learning communication tools that you will learn all in this podcast, is that you can have a very close honeymoon phase relationship all the time. Not all the time, but like you can be close and intimate and have that like really good relationship if you work on it and have difficult conversations. Like that is something that I don't think like, my parents have. Like they don't have like, hey, I feel disconnected to you. How can we connect? Like they don't think they have those conversations, which is like, I just think it's more of like an Irish tradition thing. But I have those conversations all the time. Like if I feel disconnected or I feel lack of intimacy or whatever, like I'll be like, okay, how can we do this? And then we have like a hard, difficult conversation, and then we put things in place, and then we come back. Like it's not all the time our relationship is like full of like intimacy and love and whatever, but it's like stretches, right? But whenever the stretch is too long, then like I'm like, no, I need to come back. So yeah, I didn't really associate love with our marriage with like a good thing. I didn't have a massive good belief system on it. And I also believe that, at this day and age, people just get divorced. And I thought, if you can get out of it, then what's the point in it? So like for all my life, most of my life, like university, after university, I lived in Spain and I didn't really see marriage. But how I moved from that mindset was obviously things like therapy, reading books, understanding that like you don't have to do it like everyone else. You can do your own way, and also understanding that I was an avoidant attachment style. So like getting married was like the ultimate closeness, and I could get the ultimate amount of pain. Like if someone divorced me or left me, that would leave me with like a massive, massive, massive pain. And I was so like, this is like obviously from the therapist, like, it's such an internal, it was such an unconscious thing that I didn't know. I just thought, no, I don't want to get married. Like, well, I just want to be connected to someone forever. Like, what if I don't like them in like 10 years? I didn't understand that commitment is a beautiful thing. Working on like your partnership was a good thing. Like, I just seen it as like entrapment, or I seen it as, but deep down, it's all about being hurt and not wanting to be hurt and not wanting to be fully vulnerable. So if this is you, then, again, as I said, like therapy is great for it. Books are great for it. Understanding your avoidant attachment style. If you're again in that cycle of like pushing people away, and like you can push people away by being in a relationship, you can keep them at arm's even in a relationship. Like sometimes I know when someone's an avoidant attachment type whenever they have like, some of my friends, multiple breakups, never really sad when they break up, just because they already distance themselves emotionally and they never let that person fully in anyway. So by the time they broke up, they're just like, meh. Because you've never allowed yourself to be that vulnerable, to be that upset. And that is something that I changed over the years and I have worked on and leaned into. Okay, anyway, let's get into me getting engaged because you guys have so many questions and I want to answer them because I feel like I've been trying to tell my engagement story, but I feel like Instagram, you actually can't talk on Instagram anymore, guys. You can't even talk on your story. So some people are like, oh, Sinead, we miss you. And I'm like, Instagram does not show me talking. Okay, so I'm just finding your questions. So the first one that everyone was like, did you know? Were you completely oblivious? And there was a few things that I had maybe seen by accident that maybe he wouldn't have wanted me to see. But let's go back to the beginning of me and Sam have never really, like we've obviously we talk about getting married, we show each other, like we both have wedding files in our Instagram folders. Like I remember like we were in Europe and Sam was like, look at this wedding, like blah, blah, blah. And like, show me. And I goes, is that in a folder that says W ideas? Like, like I was like, oh my God, he wants to marry me. He was like, so that obviously, like we both knew we wanted to get married and we're both older and we both like, we lived together and we're kind of like knew that we were going to get married. Did I expect to get engaged in the next few years? No, I thought like maybe in the next 2 years, like maybe after we had a baby. Like for me, baby was always coming first and I didn't want to wait on someone to propose to me. I was like, for me, having endometriosis, adenomyosis, like it was really, really important for me to have a child with Sam before. And like 33 was kind of my cutoff for me. So obviously then we got pregnant the first time and then we miscarried. And then maybe I think what he thought then was like, oh, this will be an opportunity now for him to propose because, he did ask me when I was pregnant the first time, Sinead, do you want to get we've only had one ever conversation about getting engaged. And he goes, do you like silver or gold? No, this is how it went down. We were on the beach. I was like really early pregnancy and he goes, what do you think of this TT bike? And this is obviously like a triathlon or an Ironman bike. They're very expensive, like thousands and thousands of dollars. And I was like, yeah, it's lovely. And he's like, should I get it? And I was like, get it if you want. And he goes, well, it depends if you want a ring. And I was like, oh, okay. We're having this conversation right now. And he just said like, it depends if you want a ring. And I was going, okay. I mean, I don't want to put that pressure on you or say anything at the time. Like, obviously we mess around and we're like, us girls be like, oh, when we get married, when we get that ring and a finger. But like, I never ever expected. So the conversation was like, oh, okay. And I goes, oh, babes, like, you don't have to worry about it. And he goes, do you want to get engaged when you're pregnant? Would you want to get engaged when you're pregnant? And at that time I was pregnant, the first time I was pregnant. And I said, look, babe, I don't actually want to get engaged when I'm pregnant. So like, please don't think there's any pressure to. And at that stage I was thinking, oh, he'll just propose to me after this pregnancy. And he actually asked me, do I like silver or gold then? Which I replied, gold. And at that point I thought, if I see the TT bike, that means that's my engagement ring. So a few weeks later, the TT bike comes strolling in. But anyway, so I was kind of like, I'm pregnant, he'll do that after. Like, I was also so excited that he wanted to marry me. Obviously, I'm already pregnant at this stage. So I'm like, we're together forever. Like, but for me, pregnancy was really, really important. Like, I mean, if I didn't have endometriosis, I think that I would have wanted a ring first. But in this instance, like, I wasn't waiting around and like, you don't know how long a man's going to do it. And you don't want to know when he's doing it. So you didn't want to ask him and you don't want to be like, oh, here, this is my plan. And we never actually had any of those conversations, but that was the only conversation that we had. But unfortunately, if you've listened to the last podcast, we unfortunately lost that baby and it was a bit of, it was a really upsetting time. I think I went off the rails of that Christmas and just kind of like, I was kind of all over the place, but maybe he thought like, oh, this will be a nice opportunity. She's obviously feeling like down and, I'll like go and get her this ring. I don't know. I'm guessing that's what he thought. I don't know. So anyway, back to did I know? So we were on the cruise at Christmas, like after Christmas, and my phone wasn't working, and we were all for dinner. There was like 7 or 8 of us. We were having dinner. We were talking about guilty pleasures, and I was like, guys, my guilty pleasure is Honeybee, and Honeybee is like a girl who eats food. And like this really colourful food, and she has TikTok, and I just could just sit and watch her eat, and that's my guilty pleasure. And obviously my phone wasn't working because the Wi-Fi wasn't letting me watch videos on the cruise. That fucking cruise, by the way. It was crazy. And then he was like, use my phone. And I went on his TikTok to like search Honeybee. And when I went into the search bar, there was like proposal ideas. And I was like, oh my God. I was like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. So like with that, obviously I was so excited. I even remember feeling like I got engaged that day. I remember being like so obsessed with him, and he was probably like, what the hell's wrong with her? I was like, oh my God, he wants to marry me. I actually felt like I got engaged, but obviously it was just something small that I'd seen. I didn't know what he was doing, what it was happening. And then obviously I got pregnant, and then he told me he said, got me a surprise, which was going to New York on my birthday. I was like, I'm going to New York on my birthday. I'm 33. Why is it? We already said to each other, like, we need to stop buying each other expensive things. I was like, oh my God, this could be it. Like, I could be getting engaged and like blah, blah, blah. So I was like, it's not that I knew or anything like that. Like, I did have like that like, oh my God, what if? And I said this to him all the time. He's like, oh, you knew. And I'm like, but like so many times where I would anticipate things like, oh, what if we're getting engaged? Like me and the girls would anticipate together. And I was like, right, okay, so that's what I was thinking. But then, so I was kind of thinking, okay, I would like to know so I don't get pregnant before, so I could like, so I was like, right, maybe I'll hold off getting pregnant until after New York. So I did try and fish a little bit from my friends and stuff. I was like, oh, like, you know, like, but nothing was really happening. So I was just like, it doesn't, like, whatever. Anyway, so I was just like, right, I'll just wait till after New York, which I was kind of like, oh, I don't want to wait till after New York. But anyway, as you probably know from the last podcast, that not that we got pregnant by accident, but we got pregnant when we weren't actually trying, right? And which doesn't matter because we're basically, it wasn't like we weren't trying. We weren't trying. You'll know from the last podcast. So I got pregnant, and then I was like, oh my God, I told him last year that I didn't want to get engaged when I was pregnant. And now he's going to not propose if that's what his plan was. And I was like, oh my God. And I remember the day we found out that I got pregnant, and I slipped, and he says it was so funny. Like I slipped my head into the door, and he goes, oh, and by the way, see that thing I said about getting engaged and being pregnant? That doesn't matter anymore. Like I can get engaged at any point. It's totally fine. That's what I said to him. Because I was like, oh my God, no. Like I anticipated it a little bit, and I was like, maybe it's going to happen. I didn't know when it was going to happen, or if it was going to happen when we went to New York or wherever. But even at this time, I haven't really thought about it. I'm like, wow, like, you know what I mean? I haven't really thought about it, and I haven't really anticipated, but it was actually nice to feel like a little bit prepared because I was pregnant. And I didn't want to I wanted to look nice, I guess. Do you know what I mean? And like, now I start anticipating with the girls, you know, girls, am I getting engaged? Should I wear this? He's asking me to go to this sunrise in Brooklyn Bridge, like maybe that's where it is, blah blah. Maybe it's here, maybe it's there. Like speculating. But like the girls were like, "You're not getting engaged." They wouldn't even talk to me. Sinead talked to me a little bit. Gemma just shut her mouth, and I was just like, "That's very telling that you're not like. Why are you not get excited with me? Why are we not like contemplating together?" I was like, so weird. So I was like, maybe she knows, or maybe she doesn't know. But to be honest, when people talk about engagements in front of Gemma, she actually just shuts up because she doesn't want to get people's hopes up. Because obviously that's such an annoying thing whenever we always get our hopes up. So anyway, I feel like I've been on a few trips where I have, you know, you never know. Like you just don't know. But I always wanted to be surprised. I used to say it to Sam, like, doesn't matter if my nails are not done, like, don't worry, like, just do it. And I always said to him, don't be getting me a big fancy thing or whatever. Like, I'm a very relaxed girly. Like, it doesn't matter what you do. I just want to marry you and like, whatever. And like, but the thing is, that's not Sam. Sam likes things. He likes big things and like booking trips, and like thought to myself, what if this man gets me a flash mob? Like that's what I thought. And I was like, and the girls were like, no, he wouldn't get you a flash mob. And I goes, no, he would. Like, that is something that he would do, but that's part of him, and that would make it special, you know? But also when I was going like to America, I was like, oh my God, I have never, ever showed this man a ring in my life or anything that I like. I've never tried on one. I even remember thinking maybe I should like try some on, like maybe like a few months prior to this. And then he was like, basically, no, I can't even remember. We were going into the shop and then he was like, oh no, like, because he had already ordered it. So it didn't matter. Do you know what I mean? I remember panic, like being like, oh, this ring's lovely. Like send it to my friends before New York as if like he hadn't, he's going to just buy it. I don't know. Anyway. So still anticipating, but still not thinking. Like, could be yes, could be no. So anyway, we go to America and we go to Florida first. We're going to visit our friends, and yeah, like that was lovely. I was very sick when I got off the plane. Like I was so my digestion. Oh my God! And like the flight to America from Australia is actually horrendous, guys. Like I actually don't think I could ever do it again. Like I think I would rather go home to Ireland and take all that, like go on Emirates. No, it just wasn't the vibes. It was just a really long flight and I was so swollen and I just blew up like a balloon and I was in so much pain and my hair straighteners didn't work, nothing worked. I was a mess. Little did I know that man was trying to propose to me a few times when we were in Florida, which, oh my God, I would have actually collapsed. Like my hair was actually so frizzy and I was in the worst outfits because I was saving all my outfits because Florida was meant to be chill. Then we were going to Miami. We were just going to sunbathe and we were just going to relax because obviously we couldn't drink because we didn't plan to. We were actually supposed to go to Orlando, but then I got pregnant, couldn't go on any of the rides. So we were like, let's just drive to Miami, which, oh my God, me and Sam drove to Miami and Justin Bieber's new album just got released that morning and we just listened to all the music and we had the best time. Like, and that album just reminds me of being engaged. So anyway, we go to Miami and, you know, I'm still like dealing with a lot of digestion issues and a lot of pain and there's a like anyway, I didn't care. I was in my like worst clothes. I was like, I'm saving all my nice clothes for New York, blah blah blah. And he was like, should we go for the sunrise? And I was like, babes, we're on holidays, we see the best sunrises from our bedroom every single day in Sydney. Not really, no. Like I'm exhausted, I need to sleep. Anyway, he was like, let's go, like blah blah blah. And I was thinking, right, okay. And he was kind of looking at these faces and I was thinking, oh my God, like maybe he's going to propose at the sunrise. But at the same time, didn't really think anything of it. But then when we were getting up for the sunrise, he was looking very suave and he was smelling great and he had his hair done and he had a nice outfit. And I was like, well, I better put some makeup on here. You never know. Anyway, but still with no expectation. So funny, guys, because we went to the sunrise. And I think like Sam is so used to like sunrises in here and he thought they were all going to be the same as like Sydney. But like I had already looked up sunrise sunset in Miami and there wasn't like the skies like we have here in Australia. But anyway, because that's what I said to him. I was like, oh, they don't look as good as here anyway. So what's the point getting up? Anyway, we're up. We're there. He was like, should we bring the tripod and do like a bump? Like a bumping around America? I'm thinking to myself, that man has never in his life told me to bring a tripod anywhere. This is what your boy's issue is. You don't take photos of us. You never take photos of us or you never like want to take photos of us. So like if you want to take a photo of us, we're going to be sus. Anyway, so I brought the tripod and never said anything about it. Obviously, put the tripod up for him, put it up and was like, oh, we'll take a wee video, blah, blah. And then that was fine. Took the video, sat down, watched the sunrise. No, I was like, okay, maybe not. And then I was like, oh, I'm losing my mind now. I was losing my mind. I was like, you're being silly now, Sinead. Like, you actually think you're getting engaged or not getting engaged. But anyway, that was fine. But then we got off the beach and I goes, oh, that looks a wee bit nicer now, doesn't it? He goes, do you want to go back on? I was like, yeah. And then he sets up the tripod. Not me. He's never set up a tripod in his life. I'm thinking, great. Puts his own phone on or my phone on. I have two 20-minute videos of me and Sam on the beach playing Monopoly Deals at sunrise. But nothing happened. And I was like, this is weird. What is happening? Didn't think anything of it. Maybe he's trying to pit me off. Maybe not. I don't know. I don't know what's happening. But also, I don't think you understand. Sam is not the kind of person that wings anything. So I was kind of like, this man, I couldn't just be winging it. Like he could not just be winging the engagement. It's so not like him. Like usually he has everything booked and ordered and like wants it to be like, yeah, that's so him. Anyway, so I was like, and I remember texting Sinead and being like, I don't know what's going on. And she goes, babes, I don't think he's proposing. I was like, why are you not in it with me now? What's happening with you? But anyway, why am I being an open book? But anyway, this is what I mean. He's like, you knew. I'm like, I still didn't know. I still was like, think I could go on any holiday and you could set up a tripod and I would think, oh God, what's happening here? Anyway, the day goes on, whatever. I'm like, right, no, I'm losing my mind now. This man is not proposing to me. Like, and the worst thing is, like, we just booked Miami. It wasn't like we just had booked it. It wasn't, maybe he was, I don't know. So anyway, the next day, I'm still dealing with the digestive issues with the sore tummy. God, I had such a sore tummy that day that I actually got engaged. So then the next day, it's the last day in Miami, and now Sam books everything. He books the dinners, he books where we're going. Like, he wants to experience it all. If I was in charge, I would be relaxed and chilling, walking into the nearest restaurant. He wants to book everything. So I'm used to him booking things and like getting things. And he was like, oh, do you want to go on this like sunset cruise? I was like, oh God, like it's going to be drinky. I'm pregnant, like whatever. What is happening? I was like, whatever. And I actually Googled it and was like, oh, sunset cruise. I didn't think I was getting engaged. Didn't think anything. We're going to New York the next day. So I'm like, happy days. Like, we're going to like see the sunset. I was like, why is he so obsessed with sunsets? So anyway, that's fine. We go to the dock and there's all these girls there like waiting. And I'm like, oh God. And I'm telling you now, these girls were not dressed like me. These girls were looking like they're ready to rock. They looked like they were ready for a mag lift strip, right? One of them was actually wearing a bra with a pair of shorts and a pair of heels. So I was thinking, God, 2 hours of this. God help me. So then he was like, no, I think our boat's over here. So I was like, right, okay. And when I just tell you, like, I had no idea. Like, I even remember thinking, like, if he did have a ring, where is he fitting the ring? Because there's nowhere to put that ring. When I tell you Sam's white linen trousers, there's no give in them. There's no give. So I was thinking to myself, and also another thing, he was wearing an outfit that he's wore before. Like, that's so not like him. Sam plans his outfits. Like, he will show me his outfits over and over and over again. And like, if he were getting engaged, he would have a new outfit. So I was thinking, and he was also so relaxed. And I remember saying to Gemma, I'll know when he wants to propose because he'll just be all over the place and like huffing and puffing and trying to get me out the door and like whatever. So like for me, so relaxed, wasn't getting engaged. Might have got engaged on the trip, but I thought, no, I'm not getting engaged here tonight anyway. So go down to the dock. I'm taking photos. I'm taking outfit things, blah, blah, blah. And it's funny now because I'm like looking back at the video and I'm like, he does look a wee bit nervous at this point. So then I was like, oh, as if you've told me the wrong time and we're so early. That's what I honestly thought. I thought he just told me the wrong time and like no one was there yet. So time goes on. I generally don't think anything of it, but then I think, God, no one is here. And then a boat pulls up and that boat looks private. And he goes, oh, we must be picking up other people. But I remember thinking, that's a private boat. And we get on the boat and I am, right, my mouth is so dry. I am like, oh my God, is this happening? So then my mouth is dry thinking about it because I was so nervous. Then he puts on this playlist. Now, when I think about this playlist, I'm like, you know, like before we went to New York, he was listening to loads of Dermot Kennedy, loads of things. As he was probably putting this playlist together. And another thing that I thought, I remember when he cut his hair off, I was like, oh, it's a big change, cutting his hair off. Like there's always these wee things, isn't it? Like, oh God, like maybe. So yeah, got on the boat and like this romantic playlist, like all our lovey-dovey songs, like all my favourite love songs, like Dermot Kennedy, like all our songs. And I was like, oh my God, I'm so obsessed with this. Like oh my God, I'm getting engaged. I remember like taking a video of myself, going to send it to the girls, like, oh my God. But then I was like, no, because like yesterday, it didn't happen. So don't be getting your hopes up. But my mouth was getting drier. And I was also like, where the fuck would he put this ring? There's nowhere to put this ring. Like there's nowhere. Anyway, he goes to the toilet and I'm thinking, oh my God, is the ring down his pants? Anyway, I didn't look anymore. And we were sitting at the back of the boat and he goes, do you want to go up the front of the boat? And we were up the front of the boat, guys, I would say for an hour before. And I was thinking to myself, we were having the most small talk ever about nothing. And like all week, he had been really lovey-dovey. Like the words that were coming out of his mouth, he was like, you know that like, I love you so much. Like on this boat, there wasn't like these words or anything. Whilst there was loads of them before, because apparently all these other times, he was actually trying to propose to me as well. Like there were so many times where he tried to propose to me. But anyway, he actually booked this boat like 2 hours before because he had an inkling that I thought we were going to get engaged in New York. So he was like, I'm going to go and surprise her by doing it a different way. Actually, no, what I found out is Gemma told him that I had an inkling that if we were getting engaged, it would be in Brooklyn Bridge, which it's not that I thought it. I was just like, well, guys, if I'm getting engaged, that's probably where it is, because he's asked me like 10 times about Brooklyn Bridge. I was like, like just speculating. It wasn't like that's happening. Anyway, that's fine. We get on the boat we're on the boat, and then he, like the small talk guys, like I couldn't breathe. He was asking all these questions. I was like, yeah, no. I was like, is he going to do this? Because I actually feel like I'm going to have a heart attack and I don't know what to say. And I was also thinking to myself, oh my God, like this outfit, I feel so bloated. Like I was getting all these stupid things in my head. Like, oh my God, like I just was getting really anxious. And anyway, he was obsessed with this guy again. He was like, because what he told me before was that first time he was so underwhelmed by this sunrise that he just was so underwhelmed that he just thought it wasn't the right moment. And I was like, so then obviously he was waiting for the sunset to be like one of Sydney's sunsets, like pink skies, like the way that we have them, like amazing sunsets here every day. But Miami wasn't really given that. And he kept asking the boat guy, hi, is this guy going to get any nicer? Is this guy going to get any nicer? And he constantly kept asking. And I was thinking to myself, it's going to get dark and he's going to do this again. We're not going to get engaged. I don't really know if the moment's not right for him. I just felt like maybe the moment's not right. And anyway, I think he was like, oh, can we move over there? Blah, blah, blah. And the guy was like, oh, I'm going to take a photo of you now. And like, by the time, it's so funny because everyone's like, you're side eye. And I'm like, yeah, because I've been waiting there for an hour on a boat that I didn't know was coming for me. Like, I just can't actually seen Olivia McVeigh got engaged and she said she had no clue. I was like, well, I definitely thought like, I'm on a boat on my own, romantic songs. I was like, right, if it's going to happen. So when he got down on one knee, I was like, oh God, thank God. Because, even before he was like taking photos of me at the front of the boat. And I was thinking to myself, I'm not going to use these photos because I'm going to be using the photos if he proposed to me. And he was just stalling. And I was like, I can't. I can't breathe. And I actually couldn't even have a conversation with him because I didn't want to be like, are we getting engaged? Like, what's happening? Because I just didn't want to. And I just couldn't really engage in conversation with him because I was so nervous. Then he just got down on the one knee and God knows what he said. He said like a poem. But he actually was like, you knew this was coming. But even though like I'm telling you, like maybe I had inklings, but your girls have inklings. Like they just have like little things. And I didn't know if he was or wasn't. Like I haven't, and when I have digested everything, I'm like, oh my God, like I can't believe I'm engaged. But anyway, it gets down on one knee and I can't stop laughing. Why am I laughing getting engaged? Like I'm pissing myself. I'm like, I can't believe you're down there. I can't breathe. Like he was saying like a beautiful thing about you and me, and now it's going to be us three, and like you've given me the best years of my life. I have it on video, but I actually can barely watch it back because it was basically getting dark as well. So anyway, that's it. Gets down to one knee and I'm like, oh my God, what's going to come out of this box? Because I don't know what kind of ring. I've never, and it was really hit me then. Because before I was like, oh my God, I've never even showed him a ring. But I was like, oh my God, I am like, what is in that box? So when he opened the box, I was like, I couldn't see. I couldn't breathe because I was like, oh my God, it's absolutely fucking beautiful. And I just didn't know what to expect. So I've never showed him anything. And then, of course, I said yes. And like, I was like, the feeling of getting engaged, and people always say this, that you're in this bubble and whatever, it is the maddest feeling ever. That like, it's like this, like a heightened emotion. I've never felt a more heightened emotion of love, like in my body. I remember every second from when we sat down on the boat and like digested everything, because I was like, we sat down and I was like, oh my God, when did you get this ring? And like, who knew? And he was like, nobody knew. But like I found out later that Gemma didn't know. And there is people that knew, but he was like, nobody knew. I went myself. I got the ring myself. I didn't want anyone to like ruin it. So I went and got everything myself. And then, so we just kind of sat down on the boat and we just had such a lovely moment. And we had like an hour on the boat where we just sat in the front. Like I was drinking fake Prosecco and he was drinking red wine. And we were just so in love. And it was just like, I didn't cry whenever he got down on one knee, because I think like my original reaction is always just to laugh in awkward situations. Like you'll notice that if you watch my video of everybody getting my news about pregnancy, I'm just laughing the whole time. It's just like my thing. But anyway, then obviously like was really overwhelmed, was like crying, emotional. And when I got off the boat, I was like, I felt like my whole body was trembling and I was like really, really emotional and crying. And then it was so weird because we were kind of winging it after that. And that's really unlike him as well, to like not have things winged. Like he had all these amazing, beautiful dinner reservations for the whole time we were there. We didn't have anything for that night. So we ended up going to this place and it was absolutely beautiful. And there was hardly anyone in it, which was perfect. So we were just obsessed with each other. And like, I just was like, no, I need to pay for this dinner because you just got me this most beautiful ring and whatever. And he was like, I actually was going to propose to you tomorrow morning. At Brooklyn Bridge. So he actually took me then to Brooklyn Bridge and was like, this is where I was going to get engaged. And I was like, God, it's so, even the box said the date. And obviously he did it like the day before. And then he showed me like the day that he had planned. So in the morning we were going to get engaged at sunrise and he took me there and it was so beautiful. And I actually brought my tripod and we did like a little photo shoot. And it was so nice. And we just did our own wee photo shoot. Like no one took them photos. We just kind of took a tripod and like it was just so exciting. I remember not sleeping one wink the whole night because my adrenaline was so crazy. Like we hadn't told anyone. We actually rang Sinead and Gemma, that was it. And my whole adrenaline was just like, oh my God, what the hell? And it's so funny because we flew to New York and honestly, my first experience of being a fiance was so funny. The first experience of being a fiance, we weren't on seats together. We had 2 different seats in the airplane. I was like, God, did you spend all that money, babe? But anyway, so he was like, I could still see him. And this girl was like, she didn't know we were together. And there was 2 girls in between us. And they were chatting and the girl was like, I think I'm going to sleep. I'll sleep on his shoulder. I'm going to sleep on his shoulder. And I was like pissing myself laughing because obviously I'm not going to say anything. And he was already sleeping because he's already always sleeping. And this girl cuddled into my fiance the day we got engaged. And I was crying laughing. I was like, this is so funny. And he obviously didn't know. And then he woke up and he was like, oh my God. And he was like looking at her and he looked at me and I was like pissing myself laughing. And then her and her friend were like pissing themselves laughing and like, oh my God, oh my God. He went to the toilet. They were like chatting about it. And I obviously then got up when we were leaving and like was like, well, how was that? And then the girls were absolutely mortified that like I was his obviously girlfriend, but his fiance. But anyway, that was it. And then we went to New York and then we did that whole thing. And then he took me on the Brooklyn Bridge. And then after Brooklyn Bridge we had this like dinner reservation. No, this drinks reservation, which I couldn't drink anyway. And it was looking over the whole New York and it was like the most beautiful, beautiful place. And I was like, oh my God, like we were just so in love, so obsessed with each other. And I was just like, this is like the best feeling in the world. Minus a drink of champagne, guys. Yeah, that was definitely difficult, I have to say. But Sam's not a massive drinker. So he like wasn't that bad because I feel like if he was getting drunk, I would probably be like, oh, I wish I could get drunk. But he actually did drink a little bit that night. And then he took me to this gorgeous restaurant looking at Brooklyn Bridge as well. And like I was like, oh, this is so him. Like this whole experience because like when we got engaged in the boat and then afterwards and he didn't have any dinner booked, I was like, God, that's so unlike him. So this was so him to have this whole thing booked. And then he just treated me like princess the whole trip. And then it was my birthday. And then we found out the gender. And like we actually found out the gender on my birthday. And a few people asked me actually, they were like, how did it come about? Because we were both in 2 different mindsets then. And Sam always said to me, like, it's always going to be your choice. I prefer not to find out, but it's always going to be your choice. And me personally, I really wanted to find out the gender because like I found it really hard to connect. I found it really hard to believe that I didn't feel like a parent because of the miscarriage. I felt like when I got pregnant the first time, I was like, oh my God, we're going to be parents and there's going to be a baby. Whilst the second time I got pregnant, I didn't feel like that. I didn't feel like it was real for a long time. And like I even think like the gender itself, and I also did say to him like on my birthday was actually the due date of our other pregnancy, our other baby. And I said, God, it's gonna be so sad that day. And then we both had the suggestion of why don't we find out the gender that day and make it a happy day? because it was meant to be like the day the baby was born, but we were like, why don't we find out the gender and it'll be the day we found out the gender instead. And I was like, oh yeah, that's perfect. So we decided, and then he loved that idea. He was like, that makes me really happy. That's what I want to do. So we just went and got our own wee cake, and we just went to Central Park, and we just had the most beautiful day, and we found out the gender. And I think we were both, I knew it was a boy. I felt like I knew it was a boy. Which I'll so basically when me and Sam were going to get back together for that time, I remember being like really torn because I'd just broken up with someone. I was like, I don't want to look after another man. Honestly, I am just so exhausted. Just no, I just don't want to do that. I just didn't want to be a mum anymore. Like I wanted to be a mum of a baby, but I didn't want to be a mum of a man. I was like, I just remember being like, I just don't have the like capacity to just deal with a man right now, or a boy or whatever. I don't know. But anyway, I went to this breathwork literally in Western Sydney, and I was like, right, I need some answers because I felt real connection to Sam and I really wanted to be with him. But there was this like, oh my God, I don't want to be looking after someone. I don't want to, I just need to be on my own. I need to be single. I went to this breathwork. And if you've ever done breathwork before, like there's a lot of visualizations, like there's a lot of like stuff that comes up. And what came up for me then was just this little boy, toddler, maybe like 1 or 2, 2, 3. I think he was walking in, and he was just there, and he had curly blonde hair, and I just goes, that is my son, and that is our son, and that was, I mean, that was my answer. I knew deep down that that's what I wanted, but like my ego wasn't letting me. So I always thought I'd have a boy first, but when I had that first pregnancy, I had such girl vibes. I was like, no, I feel like it's a girl. And I remember a psychic telling me it was a girl. But anyway, so the second time around, I thought it was a boy. And then there was another thing. I remember like my friends, and you probably know I lost a friend a few 10 or 11, 12 years ago now, and he passed away at Christmas Eve. And obviously Christmas Eve is such a hard time for me, and it's always quite sad, and like, it's always sad every year. I always have like a really emotional Christmas Eve. And I remember like his sister texting me like, congratulations, like I feel like, Maddie sent to Sam that he would have loved him, he would have been so proud. And I just turned around, me and Sam were at breakfast, and I goes, it's definitely a boy. It's definitely going to be a boy because he's coming at Christmas. He's coming at Christmas to make me happy. Sorry, getting emotional. But I goes, this a wee boy, and he's coming at Christmas, and he's gonna make me happy, and that's what he's gonna send me. So that was it. I felt like it was a boy. I remember like even visualizing, being like, oh my God, it's gonna be a blue cake, and that's what it was, a blue cake. And yeah, so I don't know how we get into the gender thing, but yeah, that was it. That's our engagement story. I'll answer a few questions here as well. I do not know how long this podcast has gone on for. It's probably a while, but I just want to make sure that I've covered some of your questions. So someone was like, did you pick out the ring again? No, he picked everything himself. Like, I actually think he picked it better than I would have wanted. I feel like he picked the perfect ring for me. Oh my God, did Sam ask my dad to marry me? He did. And my dad sent me the video. So he rang my dad, and my dad was at work, and my dad took a video of himself and was like, well, that's it now, guys. Like, he got the permission, and I just wish you all the best, and blah, blah. So he took a video of himself that day and wanted to record himself, sent it to me when we got engaged. I was like, oh my God, that is so cute. Will we be having a big or small wedding? Me and Sam have too many friends, a lot of family. Like, I have a massive family, and he has a massive, massive amount of friends. Like, Sam's really good at keeping in touch with his friends from home as well. So our guest list is already quite big. Even some of the venues were like, oh my God, they're kind of like looking at us like, that's a lot of people. And I'm like, oh, okay. So we'll probably have like, I think we're looking at 120 guests. We're hoping that's kind of like the roundabout number. Oh, who did I call first? Gemma and Sinead, which they were already recording because they knew. And then who was the next person we rang? Maybe my mum or his mum. My mum was like, what? My mum did not believe me. She was like, this is crazy. Are you having your wedding in Australia? No, we won't have our wedding in Australia. Australia's never been in my mind for a wedding. It's not that I don't like, I've only ever been to one Australian wedding, but they have a very different way of doing things here. And I just think if I'm going to get married somewhere, I'd like to do it away. How does it feel to be engaged? Does it change your perception of your identity? Oh my God, love being engaged. Like, I feel so old. I feel so mature. And people are always like, I'm like, as if they can see my ring and they think that I'm engaged. I feel like I've changed. I'm so pregnant. I got a fringe. I'm like, why did I just have a whole shift in my identity? um, have I had time to enjoy being engaged? Yeah. So it's funny because Sam was like, oh, can we have time when we just get engaged to be engaged? And I was like, yeah, of course. Like, I'm a laid back girl anyway. But then he was like, so like, are you looking at any venues? Or like, I thought you'd be like, he wants to get, and that's the difference as well. Like, you know, some people that I know are like, they're waiting on their man to get engaged. I'm like, but I don't think you understand that Sam wants to get married. Like, he wants the party. Like, he's there for the vibes. Like, he loves weddings. We both love weddings. Um, so yeah, he was like, oh, should we book? So we're actually looking around 2027, but just because I thought to myself, I want to have loads of kids, and I just think, well, I'll have one after 2027. But we're still trying to figure out where we're getting married. Like, we're looking at Europe, we're looking at Bali, we're looking at loads of places and just trying to weigh it up. But it's fucking mad, this wedding stuff. Okay, so I'm just finishing your question. So sorry, I got cut off again by my camera. But anyway, we are going to take time to get engaged, feel good getting engaged, and we're going to have an engagement party. But it'll be when I'm not pregnant. It's so funny because I was like, well, I'll do it when I'm unpregnant. And they're like, Sinead, you mean you'll do it whenever you have the baby? I'm like, oh yeah, that. So I actually would like a really nice engagement party just because I feel like there's always so much pressure on the wedding day. I'm like, I want to really enjoy my engagement party and have like the best time ever. So I've been looking at, like, Sam doesn't know this yet because we're already saving for the wedding, but I'm like, but like, we have to do the engagement party first. But yeah, so that's that. Okay, there's only a few questions left and then I'll leave you to it. Oh, this is a good question. How do you know before if this is going to be the person that you marry? Were there signs? So as I said at the start of the podcast, I obviously had a lot of commitment issues. So I never really thought about marriage that much, like, prior to the last few years. And I think obviously as well, like, all your friends getting married and you watching how amazing getting married is. If you don't know whether you're going to do like a wedding or not, or marriage, like, I have a good podcast that talks about how to make your life more memorable. And I read that book and it's basically called The Power of Moments. And it's about like how to make your, like, talks about the psychology of what you actually remember, and you don't remember a lot of things. And you remember big emotional impact days. Like, you remember, like, you know, people's birthdays, and you remember people's weddings because they're very highly emotional. And you can let your life just pass you by if you don't bring in these days. So like, the book is all about like creating these moments and wanting more memorable moments in your life. And that's probably the reason why I wanted the gender of it as well, because I was like, it's two beautiful memories. And so how do you know if you're going to marry someone? I don't even know how I got onto that. But anyway, that's a great book if you're thinking about a wedding and you don't know whether, because I personally was like, oh, I'm kind of like one of those girls that's kind of like, yeah, whatever, like, we'll just do whatever. And like, you know, but then I was like, no, I want to make it really amazing and impactful. So I just wanted to have like a few good memory moments. And then how did I know he was the one to marry? I mean, with Sam, everything is so figure outable. Like, if me and Sam are having an issue and we talk, we have like a really hard conversation. He's a very good communicator. He will always put those things in place, and he just, as I said, wants to make me happy, and he really wants to be a partner. Always say this in the podcast. There's a very big difference in someone that you love and someone that he wants to be a partner and wants to be your husband and wants to be the father of your child. I was chatting about this on my TikTok about, you know, Molly and Tom from Love Island. They got engaged like 19 months. Similar to me. Mine's obviously like 2 years and theirs is like 19 months. And, you know, you can be with someone for years and years and years, but like, they're just there because they love you. But like, how do you want to progress in the future? How do you want to show up? And like, he wants to be a good husband. He wants to be a good father. Sam like deserves me. He puts in so much effort as a partner. If something's wrong, is in both parts. Like, we're both very reflective and we think about the thing. And like, it was just very easy for me. I was just like, this man is going to be the best father. He's going to be the best husband. Yeah, he gets defensive sometimes, and we both have a bit of work to do, and we're not perfect and we have flaws. But one thing for sure is that he is going to make the effort for our relationship forever. And yeah, everyone's like, where you get married? But honestly, guys, like the ADHD right now is obviously hard for me to get down to the nitty gritty. I was on a good flow there, getting loads of prices, and then I'm just exhausted. Like don't tell me half the price of the wedding, and like then say, well, you need to order chairs and you need to order. No, that's not for me, and that gives me zero dopamine, and I can't be coping with that. So I need to figure out a new process. So Sam's gonna help me. I actually got one of those skylight things, like those calendars, like those online calendars up on our wall, and I'm like, right, this is what we're gonna do now. But we're hoping 2027 we're gonna have a nice big engagement party when the baby comes out. Probably around March time. I have an idea in my head of what I wanted. So it was actually somebody that I was following, it's day 2. And I was like, oh, that looks so cool for an engagement party. And I was like, wanting to have a wee bit of good vibes like that. And you know what? I'll leave that for another episode because there's so much noise going on in the background. I'm sorry if I stopped and started. And I hope that you continue to stay with me on this podcast. It's going to change. The next episode will probably just be a normal episode. I read a book and I really want to dive right into it. About like spiritual success, and hope you really enjoy that. If you like the podcast, please share it and please tell your friends about it. Obviously, this is like an engagement kind of catch up, and I'm moving into a new era. So I really hope that you can stay with me with the new era and you'll really enjoy this season. So thank you all very much and good night.